When Rudy Giuliani's lawyers noisily left the case in the $150 million enforcement action against him for the judgment Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss hold, they wrote a letter to the judge. They told the judge why they needed to get out. The judge let them out, but allowed to sit on the public docket what we call redaction or black tape. So we didn't know exactly the reason. We could only speculate. But then Rudy Giuliani decided that he was going to attack those lawyers and blame those lawyers and say that they committed malpractice. Well, the judge has had enough, and he's decided to let the whole world see what the letter actually said. I'll be able to report on it right here on Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Take a minute, hit the blue subscribe button. We're building this channel with our bare hands. We're people powered. We've got no outside investors. Hit the subscribe button. We need your help. So Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss have been trying to collect on the $150 million judgment for over a year. Rudy Giuliani ran to bankruptcy court, and it was thrown out of bankruptcy court, finding that it was a bad faith filing in bankruptcy court. And then they started to get finally their hands on a couple of things. Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss finally got the New York apartment worth about $4 million. They're selling that. They got their hands on the keys to a 1980. I feel like I'm doing an old episode of Price is Right. A 1980s Mercedes, once owned by Lauren Bacall. I don't know. It has some sort of value. A dozen watches also. There's two big pieces of items that Rudy Giuliani has not yet turned over. One is the Yankee rings, the Yankee memorabilia World Series rings, which his son claims were gifted to him in 2018, which I find it hard to believe. And then also this Mar-a-Lago adjacent condo that he has down in Florida worth $4 or $5 million that's still they're still having a fight with the judge. On January 3rd, there's a contempt hearing against Rudy Giuliani because he's been hiding his assets. He's blamed his lawyers, the departing Ken Caruso and Dave Lumkowski, and blamed them for missing all the deadlines. But the judge knew because he saw the letter that they wrote that they blamed Rudy Giuliani. And so now we know what they said about him. What they said about Rudy Giuliani on the way out is that he, Rudy Giuliani, refused to turn over his mobile devices and refused to turn over his records, and therefore they couldn't make their deadlines. That's the real reason, not because they committed malpractice. As soon as the judge saw Rudy Giuliani blaming the lawyers, he said, all right, let's let the public be the judge. Get the letter up there. That's the new reporting today. So does it surprise anybody that Rudy Giuliani didn't turn over his cell phones or didn't turn over his records to allow the lawyers to do their job? He did the exact same thing more than a dozen times in the underlying case that led to the $150 million judgment in the defamation case in Washington, D.C., where we had Judge Beryl Howell order him and find him in contempt not once, not twice, but half a dozen times for his refusal, and he was representing himself a lot there, his refusal to cooperate in the discovery process. Same thing here, refused to cooperate in the discovery process. Same thing in the bankruptcy court, refused to cooperate in the discovery process, the exchange of documents. It's also the reason he lost his New York bar license, because he refused to participate in the process. He thinks he's above the law. He thinks he's above you and me. And federal judges have to constantly remind Rudy Giuliani and cut him down to size. Now, I wouldn't be doing any of these things if I were Rudy Giuliani, if I was facing two major hearings in front of this judge in the next couple of weeks. January 3rd, back from holidays. Rudy Giuliani has to defend himself. I think he's got a new lawyer named Joe Camarata. There's two Joe Camaratas in New York. One actually had to put on his website that he's not the Joe Camarata that represents Rudy Giuliani. He had to pay somebody to make sure people didn't associate him with Rudy Giuliani. But in any event, I'm not sure who's going to walk through the wood door and represent Rudy Giuliani. It could be Rudy by himself. He's got a January 3rd contempt hearing in front of Judge Lyman because he, fill in the blank, failed to participate in discovery, turn over his assets, sit for deposition, and the like. That's Jan 3rd. He's going to get sanctioned. Now, the problem for the judge is, what does he use as a sanction? The guy's got no money, apparently. What do you do? And what the lawyers want for Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss is they want all inferences to be drawn against Rudy Giuliani for the remainder of the case. Find against him on whether the Mar-a-Lago house was properly recorded in Florida before the judgment. That's the whole issue. There's a homestead law in Florida. It's why deadbeats go to Florida to hide their assets inside of houses and buy big houses. But the question is timing. Did he record his residency in time in Florida to beat the judgment? And they want, as a penalty, that he lose the presumption that he did that properly and as a default judgment against him. And on the rings too, because they want them to find that he can't be trusted either to give proper testimony. If he's lying about one thing, he's lying about another, and that his son is lying about when he got the gift of the World Series rings. Apparently, after the 2018 date that they're claiming, Rudy Giuliani wore his rings. So, which is it, a gift or did he keep it? And so that hearing on the house in the condo, which has a lot of value, $4 or $5 million, it's a big fight down in Florida. That hearing is going to be in New York before Judge Lyman on the 16th of January. 3rd is the contempt hearing. He's going to lose. 16th is the hearing on Mar-a-Lago and on the Yankee rings. And in the meantime, the judge has already basically called Rudy Giuliani a liar, stripping off the redaction tape and the black tape to show the world that it wasn't the lawyers that committed malpractice. It was Rudy Giuliani who once again violated court rules. And so he can be found to be what we call contumacious or in contempt of court. I continue to follow the Rudy Giuliani saga. I just want to get Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss their money. I love the fact that Wilkie Farr and Gallagher, the law firm representing them, is doing it for free, not even on the cheap, just for free, for democracy. That's what we're doing. We love all of that. We love you being here. Thank you for helping us to build this channel. We're up to 370,000 subscribers in just less than 3 months. We'll hit 500,000 with your help in the first quarter of 2025. Now more than ever, we need pro-democracy, independent commentary and analysis on YouTube without outside investors. Nobody tells me what to say. There's no editorial board. There's no owner who's telling me what to say. You think the brothers tell me what to say? They don't. And vice versa. I respect them. They respect me to do the right thing on the Midas Touch Network and here on Legal AF. So take a minute, hit the blue subscribe button, help us continue to grow this people-powered pro-democracy channel, independent channel here on YouTube. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.